YouTubers? Joey here from OTG Outdoors. I realized in the last video I didn't elaborate very much on why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is going to be the video for that. But first, I need to go into Wally World right here, aka Walmart, and get a different mouse so I can make these videos and help streamline the process. So after that, we'll talk. We'll get to the point of it. Stay tuned. Like I was saying earlier, I got my mouse, got everything squared away. I think I completely underestimate how much work it's gonna take to edit videos. But we're getting there. As you can see, each video, I mean, I've only created one video so far, but I feel like this one's even better. You'll have to tell me in the comments what you guys think. But what better way to start this journey than trying to create a little bit of a community vibe, if you will. My goal is to kind of explain my backstory a little bit, where I grew up, how I grew up. As I said in my last video, I kind of touched on it, but not really. So that's what the purpose of this one is. And it's gonna be a lot shorter than the last one. I don't have a lot to say other than, why. So I grew up in Central California. If you guys are familiar with Fresno, although I don't claim Fresno, I grew up in a small town near there. Grew up on a farm, and my family had grapes. So I grew up doing the whole farm boy thing, and I loved the way I lived and how I grew up. My grandparents raised me because my parents weren't the most upstanding citizens, I guess you could say. So it is what it is, but I had a good life growing up. That being said, that's where my passion for outdoors and nature really kind of started. Although I didn't initially go down that path in life, it kind of led me to where we are now and where I want to be, I guess, or where I want to go. I know I mentioned it in that last video. I'm 39 years old and I'm starting my life all over again. At 21, I went into the police academy. By the time I was out of the academy, I got my first job offer. And this is back in I'm gonna age myself here, but this was back in 2009. So yeah, I graduated the academy in 2010. I started my career. I had the pleasure of working for a couple agencies that were pretty cool. Did a lot of different stuff along the way, from field training officer to being a supervisor to being a range master, teaching all the pew 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 stuff, driving instructor. Yeah, I mean, just all kinds of different stuff. And I learned that I really liked sharing my knowledge with other people. And that came in the form of training new officers, which is pretty cool. And I had a good time doing that. In addition to that, I was also in the Army National Guard as a medic. Our official title was healthcare specialist, but as soon as we went on active duty orders, they kind of switched our title to a combat medic. So I did that for a little under 8 years, and I loved that. It was the best job that I ever did. Don't get me wrong, my passion was law enforcement, but I think the best job that I ever had was being a medic in the Army. Just because of the camaraderie that you have in each unit. And if there's any veterans out there watching this, I know they can relate. Which brings me to one of my main and first reasons why I find myself trying to get outdoors. It's trying to replicate that little bit of an adrenaline rush and chasing that high of being exhausted and on the verge of like starvation, and just like, not like you starve in the military, but you have your moments where you're like always hungry, you're always tired. You know, it's like they say, you give a soldier 5 minutes, what's gonna happen? You're gonna find them and they're gonna be passed out somewhere. Also, I'm not in law enforcement anymore. I put in 13 years doing that, but because of some injuries and other dumb little setbacks, I decided to leave that career. Now, being out of the military and out of law enforcement, it really, I'm not gonna lie, it screwed me up. I was part of this like brotherhood, right? Both in the Army and in law enforcement. And it's crazy when you go from doing that type of job, like high stress, high adrenaline, a lot of levels of change, like every minute, every second. There's a whole lot of hypervigilance that takes place, and that screws you up over time. And when you stop doing those things, what happens is your brain is like, what do I do? And I found myself like vegging out. I was like gaining weight, like just not wanting to go out of my house, like turning into a total recluse, because I think, I don't know, I'm not a shrink or anything like that, but I'm sure a psychologist could tell you like, hey, there's a reason why you don't want to go anywhere now. I don't know and my take on it is, my brain is like, hey, you're safe now, stay home. Like, you don't have to be stressed out all the time. So I like fell into this like rut of just wanting to like just be home the whole time. And I finally told myself, bro, like you need to get well, I don't know if I want to, you need to go outside. How about that? I'll put it to you that way. You need to get outside. And I had this backpack sitting in my closet, and it's a backpacking backpack, right? I was like, you know what? I need to stop making excuses. I need to get out there, and I need to challenge myself. And I thought to myself, I've always been outdoorsy. I've always gone fishing. I've always gone like on these little day hikes. I've always done that, but I need more. So here we are, gonna go backpacking. I don't have all my gear yet. I've ordered a lot of it, which is why I'm creating content like this, which is kind of boring probably, and like, okay, we don't want to see this, or who cares about this guy's story or whatever. If I can connect or reach one person, it's worth making it. So yeah, I'm sure we all, well, as a matter of fact, I know we all have stories. We all have things that motivate us and things that drive us. The other thing is, for me, after stepping out of law enforcement and the military, I was like, what am I gonna do? So not only am I kind of taking on this endeavor of wanting to backpack and go on these adventures and bring everybody along, I'm also about to start school and completely go a whole different direction than I did before. I decided to choose a natural resources major with an emphasis in forest ecosystems. And my plan is to be a forester in a couple years when I finish this degree. All because I love the outdoors and I love nature that much. And I thought to myself, I need to find a career that is more satisfying and I can become passionate about. I don't know if any of you feel that way or are struggling or going through anything like that, but if you are, throw a comment in the comment section and let me know if you have, or you can relate to this story, or if this is bullshit, or whatever you think. Hop in the comment section. I'd love to start a dialogue and see what everybody's story is all about. If you haven't checked out my last video about how I'm prepping, I'll link it right here. Also, stay tuned for the next video. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I might go into talking about supplements and what I've been using while I'm like hiking and working out in the meantime. Or I might actually describe some of the gear that I purchased and why I purchased it. But that being said, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button. Also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so that way you guys can get informed every time I post a video. I appreciate everyone that's been watching so far, and I hope this wasn't too boring for you. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good